we'll learn what is a graph and what are its types. A graph is a data structure that consists of a set of nodes or vertices and a set of edges. These edges connect a pair of nodes or vertices. You can see there are a couple of graphs that are defined below. The circular blues represent the nodes, and the line connecting a pair of nodes or vertices are referred to as edges. So we can conclude there are two major components in a graph. One, the edges, and other, nodes or vertices. Now let's dive into what are the types of graph. On the direction of an edge, graph can be classified as undirected graph and a directed graph. In an undirected graph, each edge has no direction, but in a directed graph, each edge has a unique direction. You can see in the figure given below, there is no direction in the edges. There is no arrow marking or no direction in the edges. Whereas in a directed graph, you can see each edge has a direction represented by an arrow. So we can say over here in an undirected graph, there is an edge between 1 and 2. Similarly, we can also say there is an edge between 2 and 1 because it is bidirectional by default. But in a directed graph, we can say there is an edge between 1 and 2 because there is an arrow going from 1 to 2, but we can't say that there is an edge between 2 and 1 because there is an arrow that should pointing over here is missing. Now let's see what is a degree in a graph. A degree of a node represents number of incoming edges or outgoing edges. Now let's see what is a degree in an undirected graph. Since there is no direction of edge in an undirected graph, so we count the number of edges connected to a node. So let's see what is a degree of node 2. So there are 1, 2, 3 edges connected to node 2. So we can say the degree of 2 is 3. Let's see what will be a degree in a directed graph. So in a directed graph, since there are incoming and outgoing edges, so we define degree as a in degree and out degree. So a in degree is number of edges that are coming towards a node. So let's see what is a in degree of 2. So there is only one edge that is coming in towards 2. So we can say the in degree of 2 would be 1. And there are 2 edges going away from 2. So we can say the out degree of 2, node 2, will be 2. Now let's see what is a path in a graph. A path in a graph can be defined if we visit each node and none of the nodes are visited twice. That is called a path. There can be multiple paths in a graph. For example, in this example, I can go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now if I come again to 1, then since it is repeated, so I can say the path is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can also go in the other direction, that is 1, 5, 4, 3, 2. So I can say there is a path 1, 5, 4, 3, 2. But I can't say there is a path 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 1 because I am revisiting 1 again. Similarly, I can also say there is a path between 1 and 2. Same goes for the directed graph. We will just follow the direction of the edge. So I can say I am going from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a valid path. But I can't say I am going from 1, 5 because there is no edge from going from 1 to 5. So I can't say I have a path 1, 5, 4, 3, 2. Let's see what more classification of a graph can be done. Based on the weight of the edge, a graph can also be defined as a weighted graph and an unweighted graph. In a weighted graph, each edge is assigned with a weight. As you can see, this edge has a weight 3. Similarly, this edge has weight 7. This edge has weight 4. So each edge is assigned to a weight. That is called a weighted graph. And as per the name, in an unweighted graph, there is no weight assigned to the edges. So we can also say each edge has a uniform weight. Let's see the further classification of a graph. Now let's see what is a cyclic graph and an acyclic graph. If there is at least one graph cycle in a graph, it is referred to as a cyclic graph. Now let's see what is a graph cycle. If there is a path, a valid path through which I am visiting at least one node again, then it is referred to as a graph cycle. For example, in this undirected graph, if I start from this node, I go to the second node, then I go to the third node, then I go to the fourth node. Now if I come back, I can again reach from where I started. So this is a valid graph cycle. And therefore, if there is at least one valid graph cycle, I can say this is a cyclic graph. Similarly, the opposite is called acyclic graph when there is no valid graph cycle. For example, if I start from this node, I go to node 2, I go to node 3. Since there is no edge between node 3 and 4, so I cannot complete the cycle. So I can say this is a acyclic undirected graph. Similarly, let's see in a directed graph. I can start from this node, I can go to node 2, but since there is no arrow, I cannot go in this path. There is no valid path from 2 to 3. I can again see any other valid path. I can start from node 1, I can go to node 4, I can go to node 3, I can go to node 2, and see since there is an arrow between 2 and 1, I can again reach back from where I have started. So since node 1 is revisited, I can say the cyclic graph, cyclic directed graph. Similarly, this is the acyclic directed graph because there is no valid direction. Don't forget to like and comment, and if you are new to the channel, guys, please do subscribe to my channel.